Hi, everyone. Welcome to the webinar today. We are so thrilled to have you with us. We have two smart access control experts on this webinar to discuss some of the keyless and, well, really the smart lock decisions that you can make and the systems that you can use in that process. So before we get to that, though, just a few things. One is this whole thing is being recorded, so you can, pause tomorrow, watch it again if you miss anything. And we will also have some time for Q&A after the presentation is done. So please put your questions in the question box, not the chat, just because that makes it a lot easier for us to see which questions we've already answered and which ones we have left to follow up on. Also, I just want to let you know as well, we'll be sending you the slides, so you can also take notes on those after, and we'll also share the speakers' information so you can get in contact with the RemoteLock team if you need to after the presentation. Also want to introduce the speakers we have today in a little bit more detail. So we have with us Bruno. Bruno is a sales engineer with RemoteLock, and we also have Aaron Sandagger as well in multifamily. So they are experts in not just this, but they also have an extensive background in tech of other kinds and prop tech and making it easy really for property owners to use tech. And so I'm really glad that we have you on today. I am excited to hear what y'all have to share and really demystify some of this, keyless entry stuff that we all keep hearing about so much. So I'll hand it off to you, Aaron, to get started.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Alexandra, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you to AAOA for allowing us to participate in this webinar, and to all of you for taking time out of your day to listen to what we have to say. And hopefully, as Alexandra said, demystify some questions you may have. So with that, we'll get right into introductions and agenda. As Alexandra introduced us, Aaron Sandagger, I'm a senior vice president here at RemoteLock, responsible for revenue and sales. And we've got Bruno Durante as well. He is our sales engineer, focused on the technical aspects of our solution. So the agenda today, I'm going to run through quickly. We did introductions, so we hit that. We're going to move on to what is smart access control, what it is and what it isn't. And then diving into, what's in it for you? Why bother? What makes it important as a consideration for you as a multifamily property owner or property manager? We'll dive into some costs and benefits of upgrading, and then really look at how to get started and, areas that you can look at to start. We believe in a very, formulated crawl, walk, run type of strategy, and believe that it is very easy to get into, the smart access control platform. And then finally, we'll finish up with some use cases and some key benefits of those use cases, as well as open it up to questions and answers. We hope you all feel comfortable to share your Q&A in the Q&A segment. So we look forward to hearing from you. So what smart access control isn't? A lot of people just think of smart access as a consumer grade application. I've got a lock on my front door. I've got an application on my phone that I use. That's not really an enterprise smart access control. So diving into what it is really truly a platform, a software platform, not a lock, that is customizable, right? So you can manage entries from all different levels, all different floors, all different needs. It gives you the flexibility to be able to use many different devices, not just, use with one lock or one device. It's scalable, so it allows you in the multifamily space to scale with your organization, with additional properties you may be adding on, and tenants as they come and go. And then lastly, it's software centric. Again, it's a true software platform. It is not a hardware lock, and enables you to manage more than just unlocking and locking doors and access. So we are ready for the first poll question, if you want to throw it out there, Alexandra. All right, what are the pain points you have in managing access control? Love for everybody to give their thoughts here.
Yeah, I'll leave it up for a little while, but I often hear really about the resident lockouts being an issue or a headache, and rekeying. I know it's not on this list, but even I've seen some cases of liability for landlords that don't change out keys. So that's also a safety concern as well. But yes, these are some great options. Let me just give a few more minutes so we pass the 50% mark or so of people who have answered. Keep putting your question, well, your answers to the question. All right, let's end the poll and take a look. There we go.
All right. All right. Interesting. Because if I would have voted, I didn't get to vote because I'm a presenter, but cost of rekeying doors tends to be one of the largest pain points that we see in multifamily. So that's kind of aligns with our value proposition. And we talked about it: emergency maintenance access, resident lockouts, inability to grant access remotely. Those are all absolutely big issues that you all deal with on a day-to-day basis, which is why we're here talking to you today. Perfect. So why bother? Let's get into the value proposition. At the highest level, enterprise access control is basically gives you the ability to automate access across an entire property or multiple properties. So as you see pictured here, everything from common doors to, parking garages and parking gates, to elevators, to resident doors, to amenity doors. That's where a true universal access control platform like RemoteLock comes in and provides these benefits, as we've laid out here, right? So you can secure your common doors, high traffic areas. You can mix and match, commercial locks maybe that are on the resident doors resident doors, residential level smart locks, as well as commercial that may be on elevators, parking garages, and common doors. We also, allow you to streamline and automate with as little manpower as needed on the turnovers. And then finally, providing smart access to amenities like pools, fitness centers, gyms, and so forth. So who does it affect? Start with the operational team. Again, driving down hours spent by your employees to have to manage physical keys, rekey doors, handle lockouts in the middle of the night, streamlining access for turnovers, right? So after a turnover, you've got maybe a cleaner that you've got to provide access to. You've got a maintenance person that maybe doing some wall repair or painting. You're having to manage all that manually without true universal software access control, and that's what RemoteLock brings. It allows you to also audit, right? So we talked about the safety concerns that many of us have in the multifamily space of maybe disgruntled past residents, maybe a disgruntled employee having the wrong access. With our software, you can actually fully, audit and understand the trail of entry and exit, and also understand whether doors are locked, unlocked, unintentionally or intentionally. As far as the resident goes, right, it provides basically a convenience for them. It allows them to not have to worry about losing a key, not have to worry about breaking a key, all of those things that go into just providing seamless access to their residents as well as their amenities. And then lastly, vendors and staff. So delivery folks, we all know if you're anything like me, you're ordering DoorDash or Uber Eats, 2-3 times a week. We know that's a very common thing, especially with the next generation. And this allows for automation of that. So you're not having to spend people time on those types of activities. So let's dive into the cost, right? We talk about the number one, answer on the polling question was around having to rekey and deal with lost keys. And there's a significant cost there. But there's also some savings around these three areas: faster turnovers and shorter vacancies. We all know it's all about raising our NOI. And if we can do that by allowing our people to do what they do best, which is, provide leases, get people locked into long-term leases and comfortable with the property, so they're not having to deal with all of the turnover work that goes into that. And this access control automated allows you to do that. Lower maintenance costs. So again, improving the efficiency of cleaners, dog walkers, maintenance folks. And then again, finally, the better resident experience, which again raises your ROI because it allows you to be able to retain residents for a longer period of time. So moving on, let's jump into how we get started. there's a key misunderstanding here where people think, and especially in multifamily property, managers think, oh man, I've got to go replace all of my locks, or I've got to do a pretty big capital expenditure. And in one of our value propositions is to allow you to start small. So one, we don't work with just one lock. We have over 100 devices that we work with. So that eliminates the need for a big upfront expense. You can kind of roll out as you grow. You can replace locks maybe as you have turnover for residents, and you can slowly scale this to an enterprise solution. Again, we're really looking to drive disruptions out of your day-to-day business. So you're not having to change hardware. As long as we are certified and working with the hardware that you have today, you can leverage what you have today. And then lastly, obviously allowing you to expand seamlessly. With the integrations that we have with PMSs, this expansion allows you to be able to use all of the value that a PMS like an AppFolio or a rent manager provide. And you can do the expansion without having to worry about that integration every time you add a lock or a device. So I wanted to just flash this up. This is kind of our call it our brag slide at the RemoteLock. It's important to show because it shows that we're not just doing access control. That's what we do at RemoteLock, but we have all of these other integrations. I talked about the PMS integrations with AppFolio and Rent Manager. We provide and integrate with tools like Pinwheel or PowerPro for self-guided tours. We've got again over a list of over 100 locks and devices that we integrate with. We provide integration with key Internet of Things, IoT partners like Brilliant, and then amenity management, going back to Court Reserve or Community Boss, where we help seamlessly streamline the access to gyms and pickleball courts and so forth. All right, Alexander, we're moving on to poll question number 2. Do you expect to install an access control system? Missed the end there.
Yeah. Do you expect to install an access control system at your property? You might be reading the title, Aaron. The full question should be right below that.
I apologize.
Yeah. The title has a character limit, but everyone I think can see it. So this is interesting as well. Some of you looks like are already thinking about it and looking to do it soon. Others not ready yet. So yeah, this is all great information for all of you. So let's wait a few more seconds here.
And if you're answering, you're not ready, that's okay. That's no problem. I would love to understand, maybe you can put it in the Q&A or the chat of why you're not interested in taking a look at it.
Yeah, the chat would be really interesting to put it in there. Just some comments on what your thoughts are. All right, let's go ahead and end the poll. We'll share the results.
All right. Looks like there's a good portion that are not considering it today, a good portion that are considering it within the next three months, 6 months, and 12 months. Thank you, everybody, very much for your feedback there. That's helpful. All right, I'm going to just run through a few use cases that really kind of resonate. So for those of you that said, hey, I'm not looking at it, again, no problem at all, but these might maybe ring true to some of your experiences and pain that you're feeling, and may cause you to kind of higher priority on the access control side. So starting with risk, we talked about it a bit earlier, the risk of the incorrect access for a past tenant. We all know physical keys or commercial level access control doesn't allow for the security needed to be able to give the right people access to the right locations, doors, and amenities. Another key benefit here is, again, you're able to quickly react to security threats. That's an important one. We all know in this world today, there's always the threat there. Being responsive to things like pandemic and requiring social distancing, very, very helpful in that space. And then finally, safely revoke access to maybe an employee that has been terminated and that's maybe disgruntled. Secondly, self-guided tours. This is a big one. Being able to automate self-guided tours so that your people are not having to spend their entire day to the entire week or month walking around showing a vacant apartment or place of residence. So you can kind of read through the key benefits there, but obviously it's all about time. It's all about providing efficiency to your limited staff that everybody has and has to deal with. Tracking and auditing, again, I mentioned this earlier, very, very key element to our software that allows you to understand, one, is the door unlocked or locked? And is it supposed to be unlocked or locked? Two, who's accessed it? And if there was an incident, you have the full auditing capability of understanding, the folks that have accessed it, as well as integration with your PMS so that you can understand, what's going on. It basically gives you the eyes and ears that you can't afford to have with people walking around your property all day, every day. Access to amenities we talked about, again, making sure the right people have the access to the right amenities. We all know amenities are very attractive when we're looking to recruit residents. And so, making sure that if they're paying for the pool, they have access to the pool. And if they're not paying for the pool, they don't. Automating that, though, is the key element that we bring to the table there. Managing multiple properties. This is, again, another one. So I know many of you, have aspirations or are growing and looking at, not just one property, but multiple, and being able to centralize the access control and automation of who enters and when, move-ins, move-outs, all of the things we've talked about today, automating that across the country. We have some customers that have properties in pretty much every major city, and they're just using a single pane of glass to manage access. And then future-proofing access. So this is all about, again, centralizing the management for you and your entire portfolio, expanding your scale, being able to grow as your company grows, being able to manage permissions, being able to schedule, when people have access to what, being able to group doors together. So if somebody has access to the penthouse suite on an elevator, we do access control for elevators. All of the things that go into kind of building out for the future and not having to have multiple prop tech solutions that make up all of the tools that you use, right? So the better you can consolidate to a single access control that's an enterprise platform like RemoteLock, the easier your life becomes. And at the end of the day, the higher your NOI goes. And then finally, this is a big one. It's still kind of somewhat not being adopted by many, but many are starting to. Matter of fact, we have a customer that has properties here in Denver as well as LA, and they're starting to see a significant amount of revenue coming from home sharing and being able to integrate with partners like Guesty and Airbnb to be able to monetize this for you as the property manager, property owner is something that we see is extremely valuable, and it's really being adopted more and more every single day. All right, that concludes the presentation, but we'd love to hear from you. If you were one of those folks that said, hey, I'm considering access control solutions in the next 3 months, 6 months, even 12 months, we would love to set up a time to chat. We've got a full platform demo that we can do for you that we can customize and build specific for your use cases and what you want to see. Bruno would be happy to schedule some time with you to be able to do that. So just scan this QR code and let us know if you're interested in talking to us more. And with that, I think I'm going to turn it over to Q&A.
Great. Thank you so much, Aaron. I just launched a final poll question. If you want, you could also just answer yes to this question, and then I will go ahead and connect you with the RemoteLock team afterwards. So that'll be even faster. If you want to say yes there, I'll leave that up for a little longer. We did get some great questions in the Q&A already. We're looking at, let's see, 5 questions so far. So definitely keep putting them in the Q&A, not the chat. Also, we will be sending you the recording tomorrow. Just another reminder if you didn't hear that at the beginning. So Chris is asking, is a physical PC needed at each property location for your software?
So that's a good question. And I failed to mention, we are a cloud-based hosted SaaS platform. So there is no hardware needed to run our software.
Great. Also, what is the price? We're getting a couple of people asking, on one hand, what's the price for the software, but also the hardware as well?
Yeah, so good question. That is obviously specific to everybody's needs, but basically the structure of our pricing is there's a cost if you would like to buy the hardware from us. You don't have to. Again, if you already have hardware, or if you'd like to, you have partnerships with, an AWS or somebody else where you buy, Amazon, where you buy hardware from, Home Depot, you can do that as well. And then let us know, and then we can work with you on deploying the platform itself. But basically, we're priced on a subscription-based price per device. So there's a SaaS cost for the software, and it's per device. And again, it's tiered out. So we would want to be able to talk with you specifically, whoever's asking that, and we could go through a pricing structure that fits your needs.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Obviously, every place is going to be a little different, have different locks, different accessibility needs. Also, Kim on your team just dropped in a really great resource in the chat. If you all want to go look at the chat, the RemoteLock compatible locks of 2023. It's a brochure that basically lists all the locks that RemoteLock works with today. It is pretty extensive. If you look at it, you'll see a lot of familiar brand names if you know any of those at all. So lots of different options for what kind of lock you can get set up with. And then from there, what the software would look like depends on obviously what you need. Also, a couple other questions here about how the locks connect to the cloud. So I think you kind of answered that. Also, the other one is access to Wi-Fi required at each property?
Yeah, Bruno, why don't you take that one? That's a great question.
Yes, definitely a great question. Today, we use the Wi-Fi protocol to connect to the cloud. So those locks that we do recommend is Wi-Fi based today.
Great. And also, what if is the lock battery powered? And if not, where does that lock get the power?
Yeah, so the lock is battery powered. And basically we protect from full building, power outages and or Wi-Fi outages by storing the actual device code to access a location, a residence, and an amenity right on the lock itself.
Yeah, and Ron asking if an internet connection is required. So as you mentioned, if it goes out, it's not an issue, but if there's no internet connection at all, would it still function?
Yes, it would. Yep, no internet connection at all. It would still function by leveraging the code on the lock until internet is restored.
Great. James asking if the software is built on an annual or monthly basis?
We have different plans. We traditionally do annual subscriptions. But some folks prefer to pay those monthly, and we can work that out based on your needs.
Mm-hmm. That's great. Also, Jacqueline just confirming, so could I manage it myself? And I think that's really the point of all this, right? It is so that you can manage all the locks from a central location, right?
100%. Yep. We do not do any of the management. When you saw that picture of the dashboard, that's all in your hands as the property manager, and you would manage, who you want access to what.
Yeah, that's so cool just to be able to see what's going on at the property. It's information we've never had before. So with that, you would know what, let's see here. Do you all install the device, or can a locksmith install it?
So a locksmith can absolutely install it. We've also got a full broad network of installers that we have across the country. So depending on your location, if you have a need for an expert that can do the install of the lock, we can recommend installers in your area.
That's fantastic. Also, another question, can a manual key still be used if the lock is not otherwise functioning?
I know the answer is yes, but Bruno, if you want to expand on that.
Yes. So depending on the lock that you do order, you do have the key override available. So it depends how you order that lock. For instance, if you order a Yale deadbolt that comes with a key override, 100%, you'll be able to override that lock with a key.
Great. And I know that we're talking about a lot of different locks, but typically what kind of batteries are used and how long do they last?
I can take that as well, Aaron. So today with Yale locks, KIC locks, overrider locks, we are seeing anywhere from 12 to 15 months battery for unit doors. That's what we're seeing today within our platform.
Right. And Jacqueline asking, what makes yours different from these sold in a regular store? But I think you all sell what's also sold in store, right?
Yeah, so I'll touch on that, and then maybe Bruno, you can expand. But what differentiates us is the software platform. It is not the lock. Again, there really isn't anything that differentiates us. We are essentially a reseller of locks that you can buy from multiple sources. But the differentiation of what a standard kind of free app that comes from a lock that's sold, at a big box store like a Home Depot, for example, is all of the things like move-ins, move-outs, automating of self-guided tours, grouping doors, scheduling access based on amenity availability. All of those things are not available in kind of a over-the-shelf free app that you would get with a lock.
Right. Question again of do you have a preferred lock? So if you were to pick one, what would it be? I guess it depends on the property, right?
That is definitely a good question. We all have a preferred lock. With the lock that I do use in my front door, it's a Yale deadbolt, a YRD 622. To be honest, is the lock that gives us less trouble to set up and gives us a little bit more battery power. Gives us more for its buck, and it's in a good price point. I've seen some questions of price point. Would you name price points? We don't like to give price points out depending on the lock that you're ordering today. But you can find locks, Wi-Fi locks, anywhere from $189 to all the way to $600 if it's a deadbolt or a mortise lock, or if it connects to an access device for your common doors. So the range can vary on the type of door you have, the prep you have within that door, and then the use case as well. So if it's a common door versus a unit door, that lock can change price quick.
Yeah, that makes sense. James and William have similar questions. How many units or how many doors do you need to make your system cost effective? What is the range of the size of your customers?
So that's a great question. And we range anywhere from a single lock or a single device to multiple thousands. So it really depends. But traditionally, I wouldn't recommend, leveraging our solution if you just have one or two locks and you're never going to really plan on expanding the management of other access points. So it's normally, like I said earlier, a crawl, walk, run. We see right now in the multifamily space, a lot of folks partnering with us on their common doors and their public access doors and their back doors, maybe for delivery folks. And then they're starting to expand again as they have turnover and they have an opportunity for somebody in maintenance to switch out a lock. They're updating the locks then to smart locks.
Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. Just as people turn over, you might as well. And then when you re-rent that vacancy, it's going to look a lot better when it has a smart lock in it. It does definitely have an effect. People like the smart locks. I know renters who have told us that they prefer to get into their homes without a key, and I think it's in some urban areas almost starting to be expected for especially like a higher end price point to have that kind of feature. Also, Kim from your team put a really great resource link in the chat if you guys want to look over there. Basically, it's a guide for best practices for selecting a smart lock. So it does go through maybe some of the pros and cons, and you could decide which lock might be best for what you need. Also, is this viable for multiple single family homes or various duplexes?
Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, we're finding a heavier demand right now within HOAs and single family homes that have or are managing multiple single family homes. So yes.
Great. Also, Dorian asking, can you talk more about mixing and matching hardware? How does that work exactly?
Perfect. Go ahead, Bruno.
Yes. So within our system, a door is a door, a lock is a lock. So with that in mind, let's say if you have a Yale, a Schlag, and then you have, those are wireless lock battery power, and you do have elevator control with a card reader, your traditional single gang card reader, in another location within our system reads that as a door, as an opening. So with that in mind, we can mix and match. So if you, let's say, if you have a building that has 3 floors, the first floor has common doors, second floor on those units might have a Yale lock, and the third level might have a Schlag lock. We all connect with a platform that reads the same thing. A door is a door, lock's a lock, if that answered the question.
Yeah, definitely. I think that makes it a lot easier. Does your software work with a cell phone and watch, like an Apple Watch? So like notifications that way?
It does. Yeah. And Bruno can go through that.
Yeah, so our platform is really easy for you to manage those emails that you like to receive notifications, different rules as well. If you want to create different rules within our platform for, let's say, a painter coming in, right, giving them instruction and wanting them in, door schedules as well. It's easy to create within our platform where you can set up 8 to 5 Monday to Friday, a door schedule for that call to work only. So with that in mind, it's really customizable for the things that you want to do. So yes.
And I'll jump in there and I'll add to the point I made earlier about the integration that we have with your PMS. So depending on what PMS you use, if you've got one that we've already integrated with and support, you can, leverage the PMS to be that front end or, resident app that a resident may use.
That's great. So they only need one app. If you already have them logging into one, that's nice.
Correct.
Okay. So Daphne, asking again, I think several of us are trying to get an idea of the price range for your subscription service. If you can address that a little more specifically, that might be helpful.
So a lot of people are asking about price. That's good. That means we have some interest. In general, like the pricing, ranges from $3.50 per device to $4. It is definitely different depending on the opening. So if it's an elevator or it's a parking garage or gate, all of those are different. So it's hard to say exactly where that would be priced out unless we put together a custom proposal or at least rough order of magnitude for you. So again, whoever's asking that question, we also tier that pricing, right? So it depends on if you're, starting with 5 locks, but going to 100, going to 1,000, we can work out pricing plans to customize for you.
Great. And also James asking a question I know that you probably get often as well. How hack proof is your system?
Yeah, so we've got a full, and I don't know if Kim can put it under the chat, but we could send it as a follow-up. We've got a full write-up around all of the security parameters that we leverage. We have, knocking on wood, never been hacked, never been, compromised in the 12 years that we've been in business.
That's great. So Chris asking, doesn't each RemoteLock manufacturer provide ability to access their locks remotely? Why do we need your software on top of that?
Yeah, that's a great point. It goes back to kind of the initial slide I started with what is universal access control and what it isn't. If you're just looking for, access to a door, then RemoteLock probably isn't the right solution, or I wouldn't even recommend that you paid for RemoteLock. But if you're looking to manage a property in multifamily, there's just so many different elements. Again, move in, move out, maintenance folks, delivery folks, amenities, all of the enterprise level, openings that you have in a property. That's where RemoteLock makes sense. If it's just, you want somebody to be able to remotely access their door, that's not RemoteLock.
Yeah, I agree. It's like a step above. Ron asking, Amazon, Alexa app, Google Home. Those are other products, I suppose, that are smart home. How is this different or value add? So similar to what you said just now, I think you answered that. But if you want to expand on that.
Yeah, those are all great consumer grade applications. And I would, again, never, badmouth them. Matter of fact, I use Google Home at my house. But if, again, in the multifamily scenario where you have more of a complex environment with resident doors, with all of the different openings and common doors, that's where the play is.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, really taking it into a more professional system for your rentals, right? So we all know we started with paper documents and file cabinets. Some of you might still have those systems. Now, many of us have moved on to property management software. This is the next step to that. So taking those physical keys, those physical kind of management of access and making it into really something that's streamlined and a lot more professional and really suited for rentals, not, like you said, for the consumer. It's a little different for sure. Also, let's see here if I have any others that we may have missed. Some of them are a little repeated. Let's see here.
All really good questions, everyone. So thank you.
Yeah, definitely great questions. Well, I think you already answered this one, but Dana asking, does your software allow a resident to open the front gate of a complex multifamily when a delivery person comes to deliver?
So Bruno, you can maybe go through that with basically, on the code and how we manage that.
Yeah, through the app, you're allowed to see those common doors as well, so you'll be able to lock and unlock those openings. So yes, you can even a temporary code through the lock as well. That allows you to get that delivery person through that gate.
Yeah, it's up to the property manager and what they want to allow the residents to allow into the property. It can be anywhere from deliveries to dog walkers to, just guests for the weekend. But they have control to be able to provide that and give that to the residents at their fingertips.
And also, just so you can see when they've given that access, right? So as the property manager or owner of the property, that they gave access to someone at 2 p.m. for a delivery.
Absolutely. Yep. That goes on the auditing piece that I talked earlier, at the property management level and at that kind of console level, you have access to all of that data.
Yeah, that's great. Also, Kim from your team put a PDF in the chat as well. If you guys want to look over there, the RemoteLock security practices, which I think Bruno mentioned, and Aaron, it is very extensive. So if you are at all concerned about security, I'd encourage you to take a look at that one. Also, let's see if we have anything else here. If access is gained to an area where it is restricted, who is alerted? Is there an alarm?
Bruno, you want to take that one?
Yes, so the system put up an alarm for the night codes and forced entries through that opening. We do use a door sensor that allows property to see the mode of the door, if the door is ajar or not at that point.
And full notification support around SMS texting and notifications, however you want to be notified, along with alarms.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I believe right now, at least we have most of these answered. Michael asking, if Wi-Fi is out and the battery is out, then is my lock stuck? How would I override for a last resort?
Got it. I can take this one, Aaron. Excuse me. So in this case, if there's no Wi-Fi, there is no battery life left in that. Most of the locks today comes with two little prongs up front of the lock that you can jumpstart that with a 9-volt battery. Also, if you have that worry of everything's out, what to do now, there's the key override part that a lot of the community is still ordering those locks with a key override. Plus, within our system, you have to, it's an automatic notification. Our system today, every time it hits 30% of the battery life, it gives you a warning and a notification via email or text, however you prefer to receive that notification. If you have a staff, a maintenance person, you can automatic create that work order, and that battery can be changed once it hits 30%, gives another warning at 20, 10, 5, and so on. So you can change those notifications as well within our system. That allows you to schedule that maintenance person to go through and change those batteries when it's needed.
Great. So I think this might wrap up questions. I know there's a few, but One of them is, I think, probably best for them to schedule a consultation, Yvonne. And I also have another one as well, also probably consult for a ballpark cost of an 8-unit property, and also internet, again. So you need the internet for it to work, but if it goes out, you're okay. So that's kind of the gist of that one, Liz, in case we didn't answer that clear enough before. I think what would be, really the next thing here is to schedule a consult with the RemoteLock team. Even if you're not looking at doing it right now, it's really good to just be aware of what the solutions are out there, and also how specifically it could be tailored to your particular properties, and also your budget, which can vary quite a bit. So there's really, the best way to know is just to have a quick call and find out if it is a good fit, and also, start looking at it now, because honestly, like we were saying, as units start turning over, you could be already implementing a much better system. So if you start soon, over time, if you do it gradually, you'll have a full smart lock system if you want to do it that way. So definitely worth, giving them a call or scheduling that consult. If you did say yes on that poll question, then I'll go ahead and connect you with the RemoteLock team. Also, again, we're going to be sending you the recording and the slides tomorrow, as well as yet another link if you want to do a demo. So hopefully that'll be enough for you to make a decision and decide whether this is going to be something that works for you, and if so, how you're going to implement it. So thank you so much, Aaron and Bruno. You did a fantastic job of going over all of the different details of it. Really appreciate your time. This is exciting stuff. I love prop tech and what it's doing for the industry, and I feel this is definitely one of those things that's changing the game for all of our rental property owners.
We agree. And thank you so much, Alexandra, for helping moderate.
Yes, absolutely. No problem. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Please take the exit survey on your way out. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this and any future webinar suggestions. We will be in touch for our next webinar invite, and tomorrow again for the recording. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye.